Hello, selectors, and welcome to the Life Burst Podcast. I am Andrew, and I'm here with Tiffany,
Hello.
but I'm also here with a special guest. That's Michael Lopez. Say hi, Michael.
Hello, how is everyone?
Michael, you got fourth place at the ceremony, man.
Right.
Congrats.
Thank you. It's a long journey.
Yeah. I hope you're that fourth place gets the Xeno cluster, right?
Yeah, what
It
prizes are you
does.
grabbing?
I think we grab everything but the trophy.
Yeah. Well, there's always the next ceremony for that one.
Of course.
So hey, Michael, you played X for this ceremony.
Yes, I did.
It is seeming like X is the breakout deck of this ceremony. I don't think anyone's super surprised by that, but maybe some people are. I played X as well. But the fun thing was, I think you played Tiffany in one of your rounds, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
recognize your screen name now. Which match was that?
I think it was a 4-5, I believe.
Hold on, I got my notebook.
Around-
I gotta see which one is 4 or 5. Yeah, it would have been 4.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
I was a little nervous because it was like round 3, should I drop? Let's keep going.
Yeah, yours was the deck that I had to that like threw me for a little bit of a loop. I had to dance around a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Round 6.
Was it round 6?
It was round 6. Yeah, he didn't run the ant.
Oh yeah. Hold on, sorry.
The classic.
Oh yeah.
Classic DMX. You really thinking about dropping?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just came in. I kind of just wanted the diagram playmat because I was like, let's say I love diagram. Maybe get a few wins here and there. Feeling a little tired because it was a long ceremony.
It was, and it was a
It
wacky
was.
one too. Did you
Yeah.
notice that as well on your end? Like it was just like some of the weirder decks came out.
Of course, and that was my one loss. Like, wow, this guy's playing. It was, I think, believe second place, Michael, the other Michael. Yeah, he really beat me to a pulp. I didn't see
Yeah,
that coming.
Well, let's talk about your ceremony in a second. But you decided to play X for this tournament.
Mhm.
What brought you to that decision to think, yeah, X is the right deck to play?
Well, in my locals, there's a local hero. We call him Sensei. He told me one night, let's practice for the ceremony, and I said, let me play your X deck. I said, okay, play X, and then he played his X, and I said, whoa, I lost. And I said, why did I lose? And he was playing Machina Bind. And that really threw me off. And I said, whoa, I expected Shield. I expected one Vanish from Smash. But Bind really threw me for a tizzle. And because he was also playing Limited, which only allows me to attack with one Sickening. So that really limits your options, especially when you're playing X on X. So,
yeah, totally.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So actually, that's a great segue. So you played, well. So exactly why did you play X then? I mean, aside from the guy really.
Why
blew
I
your
play?
mind with the
I
thing.
really wanted the diagram playmat, but and so I said, let's play something that's hot right now. You know, you always play the hot thing. So let's play X. So I didn't want to play X. I really wanted to play a little dream team here and there, but I said let's just get the diagram playmat and walk home happy.
Let's just get 4th place.
Oh, let's just get the Trigger of Victory playmat and the Trigger of Victory alt art and the Xeno cluster.
We're just joking.
Yeah, the mountain kept getting a little higher. Thank you.
Well, that's great, man, and actually that segues perfectly into my question here, which was that was one of the things I noticed is you're one of the only X players that was playing a different Elrig deck setup than the average Elrig. And for our viewers, the average Elrig is like Deus. I mean, Deus Drive is 50-50, right? Like some people play Deus Drive, some people play the Deus.
Recovery.
Oh god, whatever it's called, recovery. Yeah, thanks.
Yes.
And then most people play Deus Shield and Machina Smash, but yeah, you opted to go for the limited and binds.
Yeah, like I said, it's if it's an X on X, I think I have an upper hand, and thankfully, a lot of my games were most of the games that had mattered were X on X. Um, just a few games where I struggled were the Card Jockey and Dream Team, and even Ancient Surprise.
Yeah,
Um,
and
I was out to be like, did our match not matter to you?
it did, because you played Amino Acid, and if I had
I
played Bind
did.
at that moment, I would have been, whoa, that's a big amino acid.
Yeah. Yeah, you really did. You really got me. That was one of the first binds that I ran into, and I was like, oh man, what do I do now?
yeah, I think you were very, very ready for Machina Smash, because again,
I
Machina
was.
Smash does the whole negative 12,000, and on
Mhm.
a amino acid, that's all that does is make amino acid obscenely large.
So it didn't, wouldn't have helped me at all.
Yeah. So I guess you basically were saying I'm playing X, but I'm going to play the X that's teched against the mirror. That's my goal to victory here.
Yeah, because I thought everyone was going to play X. I did see, it was a wide variety this ceremony, not just like before when everyone's playing Nova or,
Mm-hmm.
No limit.
Yeah, it's
Very,
true. I mean, I lost to the only decks that I lost to were non-standard non-meta decks, and that was the for I guess it was second place Lion 2.0 and seventh place Umir. So yeah,
oh,
it was a weird one.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, talking more about your deck list here, I see you've got the Xeno cluster over Death deck, and I can't fault you for that. I think I also made the Xeno cluster play instead of Death deck. I originally tested out Death deck, and found it was good against the long game matches, but it was like there was just so many X mirrors that were popping up in my testing that I just had to have something to ensure that I could do um, my Deus Shield, and Deus Shield's extra costs the same amount as Bind's extra, so I'm guessing that's the same reason.
yes, because if you're playing, it's up to whoever Anna burns more to whoever. So if I enter burn more to you, you're gonna Xenocluster. So that forces you to use your Exceed once per game piece. And that happened to two games of mine. I really pressured him to use his Xenocluster. So it really helped out a lot. And Xenocluster was there for me when I'm being pressured.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Last Elrig question here to talk about. Let's talk about the Deus drive versus the Deus recovery. So why did you end up going with drive over recovery?
I think I was just going for I didn't really have a problem with hand, and I kind of just want to get as much damage as possible early before they start using their assists. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I get down to 2 life clock by by the time they got to level 3, so it really helps out a lot.
Got you. Yeah. So you just you wanted more aggression. I can totally understand that.
More aggression. Just end
Let's
it in 4
transition.
turns.
Let's transition to your main deck. So
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of people play Hera, and I've seen a lot of people play Lancelot. I've got my own
Mhm.
opinions. Why did you decide to go 3 Hera, 1 Lancelot?
Well, the Harris there does the same thing as Lancelot. And I'll attack, let's say we attack 2 lanes we opened up, and the last lane we leave open with Hera. Okay, we attack. Oh, they life burst, they kill the Hera. Sure, fine. You don't get an enter, but I don't lose an enter. And I gain an enter, I guess. So it's all about the enter game. You really gotta min max, if you will. So the
Yeah.
Hera really saves you 1 enter.
That's so interesting coming from what we would be expecting to be a more aggressive deck that you really think about your enter so much more than I would see a typical aggro player try and budget with that. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I also ended up trending to I had 4 Heras, 1 Lancelot was my main deck. So I also leaned a little heavier into Hera.
Yeah, it's a good move. Yeah.
Although I did have a judge call on me on my last round for Hera. So what I didn't know was that if you choose not to pay for the red, you still have to target something with Hera, which can be a problem if you have Exi on the other side of
Mm.
the field.
So yeah, X. Correct, correct.
Yeah, new interesting problem that I was not aware of. Whereas Lancelot, you can just choose not to use it, and then you don't target.
Yeah. Well, that's why we
So
throw in the one Lancelot. Go ahead.
I just had a quick follow-up question to the enter thing. So the reason why you were being so enter conscious is because you were expecting to go up against a lot more X center decks, which would be enter burning you. Is that correct?
Correct. You don't want to be
Gotcha.
at that point where you can't use your Sizzle Rig at the critical moment.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So you didn't want to be caught being burned down to where you couldn't do anything.
Yeah, I didn't want to be
Gotcha.
caught with my pants down, so.
Yeah, let's talk about the enter burning as well. So when I was doing a lot of my enter burning, I was doing it tailored to what my opponent's deck was playing. Like if they were playing clap, I would either try to get it down to, or sorry, Madoka clap or line disrespect. I would try to get it down the enter down to 4 or 1, right? Like those were my goal numbers during that point. Did you find yourself also making similar plays like that?
Yeah, you got to really, like I said, if you're playing X Mirror, you really got to get them down to, okay, shield is 3. Great. Now we get them down to 2. Do they force a Xenocluster? Because I have my assist ready. And then next turn they can't use their assassin. Okay, great. Next turn I can use my assassin. That's game over.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I found that like one of the cooler things that I ended up doing was using cargoes to try to bait out early Xeno clusters against the opponent. Because if I did that, right, then I wouldn't have to worry about them. Like I could be like, they don't have assassin anymore. And I won't have any surprise enters here. I know what I'm dealing with. If I can get them down to 2, then they won't be able to shield on me.
Another thing to be wary of is when they hit cat, they put the little servant on top. I'll put my cargo next turn.
Hmm.
And they have
Mm-hmm.
to enter charge a servant. Or
I'm
lose it.
fairly certain you did that to me,
I think
actually.
so.
I'm sure that came up in our games.
That is actually a really nice tech play that I didn't even think of. Yeah, especially since Wilson Chu won the got I think third
Third.
place, and he's also playing a Hakets to stack his deck with either guards or things that will give Animantha assassin. So that's another way that you can get around it too. Cool. So then let's talk about the 13K bodies. I found that 13K bodies in this ceremony were particularly good, specifically because of the Machina's smashes that I felt like were everywhere. How did you feel about them? And second follow-up question, did you see enough of those 13K bodies that it made you even happier that you were running Machina binds, which I believe is -20 on attack?
Yes. Like I said, my local sensei Will, when he played me and he played the 13K bodies, I said, "Whoa, I have no responses. I can't even vanish them with the soul."
Hmm.
So that puts more value on them, especially Nobunaga with that double crush, and it's a pay 2 double crush, not a pay 3 like Gaul is. So that allows one lane of damage right there.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that the Nobunaga was specifically good, especially in the mirror. Like if you can stick it against an X, it might stick around for quite a while.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Unless they kill it with another Nobunaga, which is fine because you just enter charge.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you brought up Wingull. So I call it Wingull. It's definitely not a Pokemon. Gullwing.
The whole one.
So you're playing 3 Gullwings and 3 Kintokis. Which one did you lean
Yes.
on more, or were they both perfectly relevant for you?
Kentucky more because Gaul is fine with the Enderburn, but I never saw myself paying 3 to double crush. So
Hmm.
Gaul, and at moments, Kentucky was just a body on the field. I wouldn't pay assassin for it
Mm-hmm.
because again, your enter is very critical, and if it was an open lane, sure, whatever, Kentucky, do your thing, Enderburn him and attack.
Hmm.
So since you did a 3-3 split, so you did 50-50 for both.
Hmm.
Would you, if you were redoing the deck, would you be doing 50-50, or would you lean more towards that Kentucky?
I would probably put in 4 Kentucky, 2 Gaul. Gaul is great, but in the mirror. not so much. Maybe if you're fighting someone else, probably calls to play. But now that, like I said earlier, Nobunaga has paid 2 Double Crush, I'll give Nobunaga Assassin with my once per game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Call's just
So,
fine for the Enderburn.
Hmm.
so I noticed you got one of Tiffany's favorite cards here as a number as a one of.
Ereshkigal.
Yeah, the Ereshka Call.
Yes.
How did that
And then,
perform? Hiroshika Call is always one of those like if I see it and it gets played and then they win the game, I mean
oh,
I can't be mad about losing
Yeah,
that.
it's a glass cannon. How did that fare for you as a one of in
it
your deck?
it helped out a lot. I actually used her one game to
Oh,
clear
tell
the.
us a story. Give me a story.
Well, the opponent had 2 X's on the field, and I said, "Well, how am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?" And I just happened to draw her the next turn, and I said, "Wow!" And I had 2 life cloth. I said, "This is the moment, Ereshkigal. This is your." I just played her, cleared the field, went for game.
I feel like
Nice.
90% of the time you see a Reshka Call, you're like, sorry, it's not your turn. It's not your time. Your
Yeah,
enter. Your enter
yeah,
today.
no, yeah.
Oh,
Or your great life burst.
Yeah, the life burst is very good in this deck
what's the
too.
life burst again?
Vanish 10,000 or less.
Oh, that's
So
right.
it's like an upgraded Celebre or the black one that I can't pronounce.
Right. Yeah, we can't pronounce half the cards. Welcome to the Life Burst podcast.
Yeah.
What a great story. I love it when Arash can go off because it's always a fun time. There's lots of it's very fancy.
So
I was,
that's all I had really questions as for your main deck. But was there anything else that you wanted to talk about the deck building process? What you put in here specifically to counter anything else? Any tips would be great.
well, I was playing a lower life burst count than regular people,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm playing 19. And
Oh.
yes, because I love you always want a life burst, but I think if you get really down to it, you only need like 7 life bursts in the deck.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, if a card's good, whew, is it worth replacing it for a life burst? Sometimes you have to really tip the scale somewhere.
That's such a bold statement. You just said that if you really get down to it, you only need like 7 life burst in your deck. Did I hear you correctly?
Yes, yes, you did. Because how
Oh
many
my
life bursts do you
god.
flip a game? Maybe 3. Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
The confidence of that. My goodness.
I agree that you can shave on ratios when it's like, nah, I need this. Like if you're
Yes.
looking at it and you're like, no, I just need the ender burn, and there's no life, like there's no slot that I can put in that has life burn and does the ender burn. That has life burst and does the ender burn. So I understand like occasionally moving on ratios for that.
So which was the card that you decided it was worth having 1 less life burst in your deck? Which was the card that you switched it out for?
It's a level 1 card called Amethyssal.
Hmm.
And
That's an interesting one, right? That's
mhm,
the when it attacks me, you can discard a card, draw a card, I believe, or something like that.
yep,
Oh.
correct.
Now why was that so important to you?
Well, like I said, the game, if you're playing X's, the game's gonna last 4 turns. I need
Mhm.
those guards in my hand. I don't need them
Mm-hmm.
anywhere
Gotcha.
else.
Hmm.
So I said, Amethyssal, let's get some filtering going on early game. Let's get those guards in my hand.
You know, that's
That's a really good point.
yeah. When I played up against the guy who eventually took second place, who is the Lion 2.0,
Mm-hmm.
uh, he was playing some questionable level ones with that were white, but they found level ones on the top of his deck, and they found him a guard, and that was the math that changed me from not being able to win that game. So
Hmm.
it's not like it's like you're right. Sometimes you take a card that's unassuming because like in an aggro matchup you got to maximize your best chances to see guards. Tiffany, you did that with your owls in your Aunt deck, for example.
Yeah, that's true. I did
Mm-hmm.
do that. Yeah, and it's so interesting that red gets that kind of filtering. I feel like a lot of the time it's used for burn, to try and find more removal. But I think that the way that you've used it is really smart, where you're like, no, 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 I'm digging for defense instead of necessarily offense. And I don't know. I think it's cool that like a level 1 just regular like on attack filter a little bit is I think that's interesting. What an underdog story, you
There you
know?
go.
So let's talk about your matchups. What decks did you end up playing against?
I believe I played a card jockey, X's of course. I played a Deuce Dream Team, I believe. I played second place Michael, his little dream team, or with an empty line.
Yep, the mono white lion deck.
Right, and Ancient Surprise.
That's me. Was I the only Ancient Surprise deck that you played in the
Yes,
ceremony?
yes, you were.
Cool. What was it like going up against the mono white? I'm curious. What was that match
First,
like for you?
at first, I was thinking to myself, oh, this is gonna be an easy W. I play mono white, I dabble a little bit into it, and I said, okay, it's strong, but it's not like X strong. So I'm just gonna go and fight it. But he was hitting a couple of good life bursts. And a life
Mm.
burst that really hit me was, I believe it's a spell from Interlude Diva.
Fury and Slash, right? Fury and Slash. Yeah, got me too.
Foot and
And it
slash,
Yeah.
really?
and it can bounce a downed target. It can
You
bounce
can bounce any target, not even a downed one. It's a
any
good
target.
life burst. Yeah.
So
Wow.
I was like, whoa, like my field's open. What am I gonna do? And I have no enter because he keeps bouncing.
That's interesting.
That was scary,
I
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I have found that X is not unbeatable in this meta,
Of
unlike
course,
I
yeah.
was led to believe starting the meta, which I found that X can still lose to a combination of either hand disruption or enter disruption, and uh, and especially enter disruption that you can't Xenocluster. I should point out because bounce
Of
in
course.
trashing is that.
Mhm.
But also if they present a clock with it.
Oh.
And so if like because X needs a couple cards to sort of really get its gears going, right? Like it
Mhm.
needs those Kentokis, it needs those Gull Wings, those types of cards to really just be like, all right, now I'm gonna turn on the value engine and start winning this game out. But if they can disrupt you for just a small window and still present aggression, they have a chance at closing that game out.
Mhm.
That was my biggest fear. And especially another reason I played Cluster was the Madoka discards. If I have no
Mm.
hand, I can't do nothing.
Yeah, did you find that in independent testing of your own too that the Madoka
Yeah.
2.0 was a bad matchup for X?
In my locals, a lot of people play blue, so X wasn't really doing as well there, and that's why I had to play white in locals to keep up. Because X were just
Interesting.
getting, yeah.
That's interesting. So going into some of the other matches that you ended up playing, you deck teched against a mirror match. Did you end up having a mirror match
Of
X,
oh,
of
right?
of X's?
X?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course, yeah. I had I think four, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, four X's, I believe.
Did
Three or
your
four.
deck perform the way that you were expecting it to, or the way that you had built it to perform?
Yes, I built it to counter another X, and
Gotcha.
it did wonderfully.
Were there any parts of those mirror matchups that maybe kind of tripped you up a little bit? Anything that you weren't expecting? I'm sure everybody builds their decks a little bit differently.
I think the only thing I wasn't expecting was so many recoveries. I don't think
Mhm.
anyone I
Mm.
faced played drive,
Hmm.
and they valued hand over damage. I believe I don't want to call it that, but yeah, the recovery really was. Oh, hey, this guy's not hitting me as hard. Let me hit him harder.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's true. I played recovery, for example, but one of the reasons I played recovery was, for example, the Madoka matchup. You know, I expected to
Oh
run
yeah.
into some amount of it, which I did, by the way. I
Oh,
ran into
right.
one of our locals who is the
Right.
Madoka, and it helped out there. But also, recovery has a little bit of a weird purpose, which is it reuses your black, right? So you can get more mileage out of having less black enter slots.
Right. But the mileage, we're not looking for mileage. We're looking for game over, turn 4, 10 minutes are gone. That's it.
Yeah,
Mm.
you're
I
right.
don't
And
allow you to get that value out of it.
yeah, and that's probably why your list managed to snag that 4th place spot.
Yeah. I guess everybody should have been playing Drive.
No, I mean he's right. The Madoka, yeah. If I had played against a Madoka, probably I would have struggled.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it's a 50-50 call on that drive
Right.
versus recovery thing. I think you literally have to decide what matchups you want to have a little bit more of an edge on, right? That's like one of the ones where you're like, all right, well, I give up a little percentage here, but I gain a little percentage here. I've got to make my decision as to which I want. All right, so you went up against and then you said you did card jockey on round 1. Was that the endless punchline variety?
Yeah, it was.
Classic card jockey.
Yeah, how did that one go, by the way?
It really went down to the wire. He had 2 cards left by the time he used Endless Punchline. I guaranteed Endless Punchline.
Mm-hmm.
I took the hits. I think I had 1 or 0 life cloth left. But at the end of the day, Bind helped me out because he did not play. He told me at the end he didn't play his uh, Kome, which would allow his Lyric to attack a 4th time.
Mm-hmm.
But I had vanished the card in the open lane with the bind, or I guess he didn't attack, and I came
Yeah.
So
back
that
with
would have stopped
assassin.
the ability.
Right, so I would have
Gotcha.
taken that 4th hit and lost the game, but I didn't.
Yeah, and you are right to point out that there is a bit of a bit of a synergy between X and Machina Bind, where Machina Bind usually encourages your opponent not to attack because the Signy will kill themselves if they attack, right? But that ends up meaning that you don't have open lanes to attack through. But X gives you assassin, so you can still be like, nah, I still get in there.
Yeah, I should have
Right.
watched for that, honestly. I still go back and forth in my brain about whether or not I should have just attacked through and like taken the fact that all of my Signy would be vanished or not. I think I would have lost either way though. You really caught me in a catch-22.
All right, so we talked about the ceremony. We talked about how you felt going through it, why you picked the deck, what was in the deck. Let's talk about things that you would change out of the deck going forward. Would there be any changes that you would make? Do you want to run this same list over again, or would there be like, yeah, you know what, this card underperformed. I didn't use it at all as like I thought it would. I could cut here and add one here. What do you think you'd do?
Surprisingly, Morax wasn't used as much as I thought I wanted to use her. Her life burst was fine, but I didn't really play her. I'd probably still keep her for the nice vanish, but eh, let's see here. The deck's fine. Again, the only thing I'd change probably is recovery with drive at moments you think you need it, and then limited and bind. Again, those are just who you're playing against. You're playing against X, okay, play that. Playing against discard or enter disruption, play recovery.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
that's
you did
fine.
mention, and then you did mention that one that you'd swap over to 3 Kentokis instead of 3
Yeah,
Wingolds, or
yeah.
sorry, 4
Two
Kentokis instead of.
Kokotoki's because I think she's a little better, a little more up my alley.
I hear you. I mean, otherwise it looks super 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 solid. Um, let's talk about some just we got a little bit of left time left. So let's talk about just some advanced tips that you might be willing to give on this deck that you figured out when you were working. Like for example,
Yeah, are you seeing the Matrix
yeah.
yet?
I often found that I wanted to have always grow at least one of my assists on my defense step of my turn 2, so that way when I went into my turn 3, I had the ability to go level 3 enter burn, level 3 enter burn, and a level 1 enter burn, like Iwatoshi, for example. So that way I can really make sure Machina clap and bind wouldn't kill me. Do you have any tips like that where you're like, yeah, actually, here's some advanced scenarios that you might not think you'd run into, but you will?
That's a good question. I understand the level 1 assist grow. There was a moment I vanished so much I didn't even get to do it with my life burst. But Iwatoshi, let's see here. Yes, just keep your eye on your hand, keep your eye on your enter.
Mm.
Yeah, I think if I did one thing wrong this ceremony, and it sounds like you did it right, it's I didn't keep my eye on my enter. Because both games that I lost, I specifically was even with Xenocluster, was with one shy away from being able to play Shield. And if I played Shield, I would have been able to have my follow up for fourth turn and win the game.
Yeah. That's what makes or breaks that game.
All right then, Michael. So let's give it to you for a second. Do you have any shout outs, any closing thoughts that you wanna use?
Give a shout out to the locals over at Curio in Northern Virginia. Really shaped me in the game. Real big scene here. So if anyone's out in Northern Virginia, come on by. This guy named Wes, he wanted me to shout him out. He's a cool guy out there. He taught me a couple things.
Thank you, Wes.
Thank you, Wes. Thomas, he's our ancient surprise player. I guess he got me ready for you. And Matthew, he's a great blue player, and he taught me to fear blue.
You know what? But that's good, right? As a red player, you go like, I'm gonna fear this blue, but I'm gonna always hold a little burning hatred in my heart for it. So I'll learn how to beat it.
Right.
All right.
All right, dude. You want to do the outro for our listeners?
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us.
And always flip a life burst.
You got it, man.
Bye.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
It was great. It was great talking to you and getting your observations on the deck as well.
Comment, like, subscribe, everybody.